Do you remember how you fell in love with movies? Was it a class in school? One film that blew your mind? Or maybe, just maybe, like me, your love of movies started with a book. A coffee table book that was a random gift that changed my life forever. So come along for the ride as I take you through a book that made me the film nerd I am today. Let me share with you my love letter to the 1001 movies you must see before you die. If you've been living under a rock, the 1001 movies you must see before you die is basically a glossy coffee table book, a bible of sorts for film nerds. It's exactly what it sounds like, a list of 1001 movies that are considered iconic. Each edition includes input from dozens of film critics, historians, and writers worldwide. It's laid out chronologically, starting with A Trip to the Moon from 1982, and the last film from the latest edition was Nomadland in 2020, before they stopped making the list and made me cry myself to sleep. It's complete with full-page photos and an essay on each film. It covers everything: the silent era, Hollywood blockbusters, obscure art house films, and even films I wish I could wash my eyeballs out after seeing. So let me tell you why it's so special. I can literally picture my life pre and post list. One day, I'm a healthy, happy individual with a thriving social life, career, and ambitions, and then I discovered it. It started casual with the idea, hey, wouldn't it be fun to watch some of the films that are on this list? So I started watching them here and there. Then I asked myself, hey, wouldn't it be fun to highlight them as I go? And finally, it changed into a full-blown obsession. I printed out a copy of the list, 24 pages long, and started highlighting each film in pink, obsessively researching, Googling, and finding anywhere I could get these films. This was pre-Letterboxd, so film curation and finding them was really part of the journey, before Letterboxd sort of superseded the whole thing. I started, as most people would, with the more well-known classics that I somehow hadn't seen. I didn't really watch many films growing up, so this is the first time I was exposed to Taxi Driver, 2001 or Goodfellas. It was like a slot machine, getting a new pink highlight on my list and showing I did something. From here, I started going backwards and discovering my favourite era of film, the 40s and 50s, and my favourite director of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. I remember staring at that still from Strangers on a Train for hours, and when I finally saw it, my mind was blown. The creepiness, the shivers down your spine that Bruno gave you, and the most intense game of tennis ever put to screen. From there I was hooked, finding each Hitchcock film I could and collecting them like action figures. Vertigo, The Bird, Psycho, Rear Window. I've now seen 18 Hitchcock films altogether, and he's my most watched director. Admittedly amateur numbers compared to some of you. I would try to find what directors were considered iconic and watch what I could. This is where I saw my first Kurosawa, Billy Wilder, or David Lean. Shit, I watched There Will Be Blood because of this book, a film that will always be my tick to shout quotes from over and over and over. I love the idea of going in order, but it would mean a long time watching only silent films. Did, however, knock off some of the early ones on the list, becoming a fan of Metropolis and A Trip to the Moon. I got so into this, I even planned to get a tattoo of the Trip to the Moon scene with a bullet in the moon's eye, but my fiance thought it was ugly, so that was that. As someone at this point had only seen a handful of films, going back and seeing films' history was incredible. You could really learn so much from the silent era, and I'm so glad I found a way to do my homework. That's another benefit of a book like this. It's sort of like an inbuilt film school. I personally never went to film school, so I never got prescribed films. This is what it was for me, a way to see film history laid out in a digestible way, a way I could tackle and gamify it, watching and discovering incredible films in a simple, organic way. Now, let me tell you my favorite film memories I've had with this. I used to put the entire list into an auto choice generator and just watch whatever came up. I'd call this Generation Day, which is admittedly a little bit nerdy, but is what it is. My two favourite films I saw using this method were Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Les Diabliques, for two entirely separate reasons. First time I watched Les Diabliques, the moment I saw it, I was hooked. The vibe, the whodunit. I'd barely seen anything that wasn't a franchise at this point, let alone a foreign film from the 50s, and it really made me realise how incredible foreign films can be and how important its influence is. Hitchcock himself said this film inspired him to make Psycho, and you can see this film's DNA all over it. I will shout from the rooftops to anyone who wants to listen, Les Diabliques is a must watch. And Seven Brides. Jesus Christ, what a time. For my birthday, my mum brought me a few DVDs from the list, and this was one of them. I avoided it for a while, thinking, whatever, I don't super want to see it. But then I was randomly Googling films about Stockholm Syndrome, and this one popped up. Just the idea that people would make such a horror film premise and be so backwards to think it's a meet cute will never not baffle me. But the tunes kind of slaps, I'm sorry to say, I just will find myself singing it sometimes, so yeah, classic, outdated is what it is. I could ramble about the films I've discovered using the list for hours. Texas Chainsaw, Orpheus, Groundhog Day, Ran, The Thing, banger after banger, all thanks to this glorious little book. During this era of me really falling in love with movies and using this list, this book was crack, but it does have some downsides. First one being every year there'd be a new edition that would come out, and it was so painfully obvious they were scrambling to add movies. Stuff like the Jungle Book remake, The Greatest Showman, and War Horse made the list. I want to make a whole separate video about how much I despise War Horse. That film made me hate horses, but Regardless, I think when you're trying to figure out what's iconic and influential, it's rarely known straight away. You get exceptions that are instant classics, but more often than not, you need time to digest and see how a film is perceived over time and the influence it has on other creators. I would pitch that this book should only be released every 5 years to make an event when films are added, but I mean, there is less money in that business model. Another problem I ran into, and admittedly, this is a me problem, I would get way too rigid with it. I didn't go to the movies or see new stuff. It was as simple as if it's not on the list, I wouldn't do it. Which, if you're a registered cinephile like me, the one who has to warn the neighbors every time you move houses, you should be going to the movies as much as possible. I also just wouldn't explore a director's body of work. I'd watch 1 or 2 iconic films that they had and then stop, seeing how the director evolves their style and how the themes shift as life around does the same thing. You really miss that evolution when you're only seeing the top few. Also, sometimes eras and vibes just don't work, which isn't a bad thing, it's just different tastes. Something like take a W.C. Fields. He's meant to be a comedy icon, but all I saw was a very sad and alcoholic man making bad attempts at being funny. And then the more experimental stuff that didn't work either. And should I even talk about some of the absolutely cooked shit on here? No film has ever ruined my day like this. I think I have a decent stomach for violence and gore, but I draw the line here, and whatever the fuck this monstrosity is. Now you got this far, so I'm sure you're wondering, have I done it? Have I watched 1001 movies? And when it's all said and done, I've now completed 30% of the list.
Boo this man!
Which, all things considered, is crazy how low that is, considered I was really dedicated to it. I still use this whenever I discover a new director, just to see what films I should see first, and I still love a good Generation Day, although I haven't been doing it nearly enough. I'm 29 and hopefully I have a decent amount of time left, so hopefully I can finish the list. Right now I'm a lot more focused on just watching the kind of stuff I want to watch. I feel like I've got that nice little layer of film history, and now I'm into watching the franchises and directors' bodies of work and just finding cool shit. I still want to finish the list. I mean, I've gone too deep now to stop, and I have such a love for it, so I'll keep going at some point. This book didn't just give me a watch list, it gave me a film education. It gave me stories, obsessions, and honestly some of the best memories I'll ever have with movies. In short, I just want to say thank you, Jay Schneider, and everyone who created this glorious little coffee table book. Absolutely no way I'd be the film buff I am without it. I owe this channel, my best memories, and the obsession I'll have to the end of my days. Here's to watching more classics, and happy Generation Day to all who celebrate. And that's all I really have to say. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what I should watch and review next, and yeah, bye.